Hello everyone and welcome to this new episode of Ignition Time. Folks, we have some new information about the status of the infrastructure bill, the massive $2.25 trillion infrastructure plan from the Biden administration. It looks like this entire thing is potentially, I say potentially, because right now this is the new information emerging from Congress. It looks like potentially this latest infrastructure bill could be split up into two separate bills. We could see a smaller infrastructure bill right in a $700-800 billion range, which will have bipartisan support, which is a good thing. And we could potentially see a second bill, which includes a lot of the items that Democrats want, that could pass through the process of reconciliation. Welcome to this brand new episode of Ignition Time, everyone. Please, if you learned something new, please, I would really appreciate it if you click the like button below. If you click subscribe and enable notifications, because that helps out the YouTube algorithm. Let's just jump right into brand new information that is now emerging from Washington, D.C. Here's a brand new headline from Politico, a whiff of bipartisanship on infrastructure. So the news that is emerging is that the Republicans are open to a limited, I quote, traditional infrastructure package. And then that is something that they can support. And they are actually suggesting that, hey, this is what we can get behind. And it's quite possible, based on reporting from Politico, that we could see a second package that will pass through reconciliation with the Democrats' items that they want. Here's new reporting from Reuters, and you'll see the headline on your screen. The US Senate Democrats plan to advance infrastructure bill to gauge bipartisan support. So what Chuck Schumer is doing is basically testing something and essentially testing the waters to see if it can get bipartisan support. If it can, then we could potentially see a bipartisan infrastructure bill, which is good for the country. I mean, finally, we can expect some level of cooperation. Although, to be completely honest with you, I don't know how long that cooperation will last. But at this moment, we'll take any degree of cooperation between the Republicans and the Democrats. So what is happening here is that in the past 48 hours, the Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer has advanced basically a $30 billion water resources bill as a kind of test, basically to see if the Republicans would support this and to see if there's any element of bipartisanship that can emerge. Now, there are 10 Republican senators who actually met in the past 48 hours. They met together to discuss the way forward. And one of those members, and this is reporting from Politico, Shelley Moore Capito, there she is. What's up? Senator Shelley Moore Capito from West Virginia announced on CNBC that they, meaning these 10 Republican senators, would be coming forward, would be recommending an infrastructure package in the region of $600-800 billion. Now, this is extremely encouraging because the transportation portion of the American Jobs Plan, okay? The transportation portion of the American Jobs Plan is right around $621 billion. So this is extremely encouraging. Could we see one traditional infrastructure package that is bipartisan? At this moment, I would say it's quite possible. In fact, Senator Chris Coons, who's a Democrat from Delaware, who's, by the way, very close to President Biden, did suggest a bipartisan 60-vote bill. He was talking to CNN and he said a bipartisan 60-vote bill of core infrastructure or traditional infrastructure could be a good idea, followed by a reconciliation bill that includes everything else in President Biden's American Jobs Plan and his upcoming American Families Plan. Here's a quote from Senator Chris Coons, again, the Democrat from Delaware. We are trying to get $2 trillion worth of infrastructure and jobs investments. Why wouldn't you do $800 billion of it in a bipartisan way and then do the other $1.2 trillion Democrats only through reconciliation? Folks, these are words from a Democrat who's close to the president. And what this tells us is that this is going to be the Plan B strategy for Democrats. In fact, it makes sense for Democrats to essentially do this because this way they can say, hey, we got it done with bipartisan support. But the interesting thing is how many Republicans will actually get behind a $600-800 billion infrastructure bill, a traditional infrastructure bill. At this moment in time, it does look like that could be popular, like that could be possible because of the 10 Republican senators who met in the past 48 hours. In fact, in the past 24 hours, there was a meeting between 20 senators, 10 Republicans and 10 Democrats, and a lot of we're waiting for information to emerge about this meeting. But what's interesting is this meeting was hosted by Joe Manchin, the Democrat from West Virginia. By the way, Shelley Moore Capito, there she is a Republican from West Virginia, and Joe Manchin is a Democrat from West Virginia. So I think that's very interesting. According to reporting by Politico, encouraging sign that 20 senators are meeting together, but I think the meeting has to go well. Folks, we're waiting for news to emerge about the meeting, and we are hearing, based on all the resources that we have, that there could be some sort of an announcement. There could be some good news about, again, potentially bipartisanship on $700-800 billion in infrastructure, followed by a second bill that deals with the items that the Democrats want. And folks, I can tell you that while this sounds encouraging, there could be potential roadblocks ahead. This is reporting by Politico. Progressives worry about two things. One, why should the Republican bill get prioritized over the rest of the Biden policies? And now, folks, we're talking plain old politics. And number two, what happens if the second bill, stripped of some of its most popular policies, does not pass? Also, folks, while it's going to be possible to find $600-800 billion for infrastructure, there's a big difference between the two parties about how this money is allocated. In other words, how the money is actually spent. And this is a quote from Senator Mitt Romney from Utah. We'll be able to come to an agreement on what needs to be done. How to pay for it will be where we find the greatest challenge. So Mitt Romney is saying that, hey, we'll actually agree on how to spend the money, but now we'll probably argue on where the tax increases should come from, where we find the $600-800 billion. Folks, I have done another video on our channel talking about how the IRS can collect an additional $1 trillion per year, according to the IRS Commissioner Chuck Rettig. And I don't think it's going to be hard for the US government to find up to $1 trillion a year to pay for infrastructure. I believe that there are enough, to be completely honest, there are enough people evading taxes out there that if the IRS has the capability, has the funding, has the support of Congress, they can do a better job going after that money. So in effect, if it's just a $600-800 billion bill, there may not be a need to raise corporate income taxes if the IRS is given more funding to go after the money that is already owed to the country. That's where things stand right now, everyone. That's it. Please click the like button. Please subscribe. Please enable notifications. This was an update on how the Biden infrastructure package may be split up into two separate bills and the path that lies ahead, because new signs are emerging from Washington about what this might end up, where this might eventually lead us. Thank you so much for watching. Please click the like button. Please subscribe. Please enable notifications right here. I would really appreciate that. I hope you learned something new. You come to this channel because I give you the truth wherever the truth might lead us. I appreciate you. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.